Welcome back to Straight Facts on Friday. I'm joined by Don. I'm joined by Staffy. I nearly said Don Staffy for a second. I don't know what went through my mind. One of them weeks.
I used to be my old tagger name on Twitter. Remember that?
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's why it popped back into my head. Dons. All these wannabe Dons out there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I had it before I did YouTube.
Don is Don.
Exactly, bro. So that to you, Sam, as well, man. Make sure you remind this guy. You know what I'm saying, people.
Here, viewers, we've got loads to talk about today. We're challenging Staffy today, and he don't even know what's coming yet about Guardiola.
What I do, bro? I didn't even do nothing.
No. I was just on YouTube earlier today, and one of your videos popped up on my TL because I actually subscribe to, and I want people to do this as a test in theory, right? And I'm probably going to expose myself here because I bet I forgot to do it with some people. But you know, people you work with, they're like, yeah, we're cool. Go and check if they subscribe to you or not. Go and check if other YouTubers that say they're your bros actually subscribe to your channel. You'll be surprised the amount of people that don't. And you'll find some shockers as well. I'm like, hang on, you've streamed me for 5 years. Why don't you subscribe? Oh, I'll get it done now. Or half the time it's because they don't want to give you just that one extra subscriber. Just putting it out there. But no, I subscribe to you, man. And your video came up on my TL, Staffy, that said Pep is washed. And we're going to be talking about Pep. And is he washed? Is he going to get sacked? We're also talking about Wirtz. Wirtz is a flop. I know that's the title of the video, but please don't write comments yet. We're going to get onto that. We've got an interesting video to play surrounding that with a really big point that's being made. Plus, the Garnacho backlash. Will there be some for Manchester United this season? We're going to go into that. Also, Levy's exit from Spurs. We have to talk on that today as well, because I think it's too big a subject for us to ignore. Someone called Delroy in the chat. Delroy, big up. Joe, why that name's making me giggle? I've rewatched for the last few weeks Top Boy again. I'm on season 3 on Netflix, but season 5 where they're naming the baby and they can't think of a name, and they're talking about calling him Delroy after their granddad. So yeah, sorry, it's making me laugh. Great show. Great show. Hello, Judge Mo, how you doing, brother? Hope you're well. Hope you're good.
I just
watched.
watched.
I'm not subscribed. I just watch. No, he said before that I'm not subscribed. There you go. I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised, man.
Big up Mo, man. This guy's in Italy right now. This guy loves Europe, innit? He loves Italy, boy.
Is he in Italy? I don't know that.
That's what he told me.
It's a nice place to be. Italy's a great country. If you go to the right places. Italy's wicked, man. By the way, Greasy, I just found your old YouTube channel. Where you had videos up from like 14 years ago. Is that yours? Like computer game ones. Is that your channel?
Oh yeah. That was time ago. Oh shit.
Is that you in the music video?
No. I used to film music videos. So funny story. I did a bit of work for like, when was this? This was years ago. And then the first wage I got, I bought a camera, started doing music videos for some people in the area and that. But you know my YouTube, bro, Don CFC. So now you're exposing yourself. You're not subscribed to me.
No, I am. I
just looked up the wrong name, probably.
I don't go by Greasy Don on
subscribed. And if you go, I can prove it. If you go onto like your dashboard and go into subscribers, I'll probably be the biggest account that follows you, most likely 400,000. You won't find it as if you put it to date wise, it'll be early because I'm definitely subscribed to you. I'm definitely subscribed to I think I'm subscribed to Staffy. Let's see.
You just said you were because I saw a video.
I think I am. But yeah, we'll see. Staffy TV. Let's just check. If I'm not, I'm gonna apologize. Yeah, I am. Of course I am. There we go. I see it straight away. And by the way, I see your Premier League prediction video where you're blurring out the name, just like my channel.
Chelsea at the top,
man. Copycat mentality.
Right, let me tell you something. Because I've seen a lot of people, first of all, get angry. They're like, "Oh, you think you're not gonna finish second?" No, I never said that. If you watch the video, you know I didn't.
Are you doing a little clickbait?
No, hold on. So it is a little bit clickbaity, but let me tell you this. This thumbnail actually is a year old. So I had this thumbnail for last year. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to make another one. It's the same idea anyways. Might as well just use it. So
hang on. Are you just too cheap to pay Connor like another £7 for a thumbnail? What's going on?
I'll be honest, I just never used it. So I just used it again.
There we go.
Connor well, bro. He knows that.
Look, we're going to start with the point. We're going to start with the point we were talking about before we went live. Before we went into that and digressed a little. But Pep Guardiola, you think he's washed? Is he going to be sacked soon? Talk to me, Staffy. Break down why he's washed, and then we'll get into whether he could be sacked.
All right, for context, there's a clip where me and LB are talking about Pep. And this mainly started with just a question for Hassam, and then we got dragged into a comparison with Klopp. So I'll explain the context as we go. Basically, is Pep washed? Terry, I've been saying it since last season on this very platform. I think he's washed, or I think he's in his washed era. I've been saying that. So if anyone thinks I'm being reactionary, if anyone thinks I've only said that based on the first 3 games, Terry will be here to tell you. Mo actually is in the chat as well. These guys remember, a year ago on the stream, I was the first one to say it. And I said, I'm not unapologetic about it. I'm not scared to say it. Some people just scared to say it. Now, I look at last season. I look at this season. I look at the start of the season. By every metric, how you can judge someone being washed, I feel like it just ticks it with Pep. So when you talk about a manager being washed, it's a lot more difficult to identify a washed manager versus a washed player. Because you can look at a player, if they lose their touch, they gain a little bit of weight, or they just they lose a yard of pace. It's so easy to tell when a player just gets washed. With managers, you have to use different metrics. So when you look at Pep, the style of play, has it regressed basically since that treble season? And to be fair, they did win the league the year after. There was a regression, but they did win the league a year after. So since the treble season, has there been a massive regression? Yes. Have they been finishing lower in the league? Yes. Have they went a whole season last season without winning a trophy? Yes. Is he officially and statistically having his worst ever start to a Premier League campaign? Yes. Last season, did he exit the Champions League by the new format since there's no group stages? Did he enter right after the league stage, aka the playoff when they had to play PSG? Yes. If I go by so many metrics, it just all says yes, 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 yes. When you watch the football now, do they look like as a good team as they were over the last few years? No. So if I look at the eye test, if I look at the stats, if I look at everything, it just indicates there's been a massive regression. Now, you could say that regression is because of players, and that's fine. And that was my point with LB, because he just was blaming the recruitment. And I actually agree with him. You look at the recruitment, it's very hard to replace a KDB. It's very hard to replace a Kyle Walker. It's very hard to replace a Mahrez. It's very hard to replace all these players that have been brilliant. Gundogan, all these players who haven't been in their best over the last few seasons or left anyways. It's been hard to replace him. I hold my hand up and I say that. Of course, you're not going to get a KDB every summer window because he's a generational player, once in a lifetime type of thing. He's an old-timer in the Premier League. So it's fine to say that. But when you look at the replacements, they spent how much money in January, how much money this summer. The style of football is not being able to be replicated with these great players that they once had, because fine, you can say that they're not the same quality. But yet, Pep is supposed to, in my opinion, still do more with less. That's what a lot of top managers do. Am I saying he's a checkbook manager? No, because it's not just easy to give someone a check and say, go get the best players and win the league. There's proof over years and years. Look at Chelsea, look at Man United the most. They've been given so much money, yet they haven't been able to compete for the league for how long? So it's not as easy as just go get money and do that. But I used references like Jose Mourinho and Klopp, where these managers were given less in periods in their career and they did more. I seen Klopp. I get it. In his peak, Klopp's peak and Pep's peak, I'm never taking Klopp. Of course, I'm taking Pep. Pep at his peak is better than him. But I'm talking about when they were given less. The guy right now has, in my opinion, not a good enough Ruben Diaz, not a good enough John Stones, a young Kosanov, what's his name, the right back. Matheus Nunes is not good enough. You go around the pitch, there's a lot of players that are not good enough. Now, I looked at Klopp. I said, hold on. Klopp was reaching in his first season or second season. I forgot which season it was. It's like he was reaching Carabao Cup finals against Manchester City with Joe Allen and Milner and Henderson playing in his midfield. I was looking at the other team. The other team had David Silva, Yaya Toure, Aguero, and Sterling playing in their team. I'm like, hold on. There was a gulf in quality, yet a manager that did the most out of what he had versus a manager that clearly proved when he's given the best ingredients, he could cook with it. Why am I not to look at Pep right now and say, yes, you don't have the best players. Yes, it's hard to replace that quality, but why am I not meant to put a little bit more demand and expectation on what so-called is the GOAT to perform a little bit better with the players that he has now? Nico Gonzalez, 6 months in, they're saying he's going to get sold. Kuznetsov can get a game in. What's his name? Savinho comes in 1 year. They're already trying to sell him. You look around the pitch. Doku, he's not getting the best out of him. There's so many players that you're looking at. I'm like, he's not getting the best out of the squad. Fair enough, they did finish third last season, but they're not in the league contention this year. I don't think we're going to put him to win any trophies. And people are just writing off for the season from the beginning, saying because, oh, they didn't have good recruitment, this, and that. If he starts the season, by the way, with 3 points out of 15, because next game he has United, which I think we can get a result, and then they got Arsenal, who I think are going to absolutely destroy them. So if you start the season 3 out of 15, everyone then, you know what everyone's going to do? Everyone's going to do Pep's wash. But it's easy to say it then because they're already going to see the result. I'm seeing all the indications leading up to here, him not doing the best with the squad, unable to cope with Brighton, unable to cope with Spurs and Thomas Frank. And I'm saying, you know what? These are signs that a manager is declining, and he's either, I don't want to say he doesn't know what he's doing, he just doesn't know how to deal with the situation because he's never been here before. So my statement to think he is washed or is in his wash era is not a disrespect on what he accomplished. He's still going to go down as one of the GOATs, but all the metrics are there and people just want to ignore it. And I'm fine with saying it. I'm not shy.
You know what? I smell a little bit of a hidden agenda here, Staffy, because a lot of what you said, no, it's true though, because a lot of what you've said, I don't disagree with it, right? I think Pep should be doing a lot better than what he's done. We've seen this guy, bro, like change his tactics so many times, bro. We've seen him go from the wingers like Sterling and Sane to, you know, having centre backs playing at fullback and John Stones inverting and doing what he was doing in the treble season. All of that, we've seen all of that, right? But obviously, there's always discussions about Sir Alex Ferguson and Pep, who's the greatest. And obviously, with Sir Alex, listen,
I didn't mention Sir Alex once. Not once.
I'm. This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm getting from the take
if
right
I
now.
Did, I would have answered. What's that Man City guy that always is rambling on Sir Alex? The guy that goes to the overlap?
I saw a tweet, though. I saw a tweet, right?
You know what I'm talking about. If I did, I would have done that. But that wasn't the intention of my take.
Okay, that's fair. But I'm saying, we've had many conversations about who's the GOAT, like out of Sir Alex and Pep, right? And one thing that Sir Alex seems to have over this guy is that he's been able to rebuild winning teams, right? Pep is going through a new era of Man City, bro. Like I was talking to Roms the other day because Rom still thinks they're going to come second, but he was like, you know, it's still quite early. It's only game week 3. And I'm like, bro, we've been watching these guys playing like this now for over a year. It's not a game week 3 problem, right? It's a serious problem. And when you talk about Man City always start the season off slowly, bro, they had KDB that used to get X amount of GNA, yeah? Over 10 assists, over 10 goals. That's wins over there from KDB, bro. You've got Morris used to turn up for these guys. And he never used to start every single game, you know? You had Sane and Sterling in their prime, bro, getting all that GNA. Now you're looking at that quality. It's not going to be, you can't just say that anymore. You can't just say, oh, Man City start off slow because it's a completely new era. It's a completely new era, bro. Yeah, it's like when you go back to your, when you go back to your school, Terry, when you finish secondary school and you go back and you can't even recognize the teachers anymore, bro. You're like, yo, where's Mr. Taylor? Mr. Taylor's not here no more. Oh, he's gone. Oh shit. Yeah, times have changed, bro. You know what I mean? Times have changed. That's what it is for me, bro. I think right now it's a new era. Liverpool is looking like they're at the front of that, new sort of beginning. You've got Arsenal in there. Listen, Chelsea, we're starting to sort of get in there. So that's what Man City need to do. And for me personally, they might just need a change upstairs, man. For Pep, for the club, like he just might not be motivated anymore. I don't really, when I'm looking at Man City now, even when I'm looking at Pep, I don't want to be looking at man like, you're washed up. Like I look at Young Thug these days now. I can't even look at Young Thug the same, bro. I don't know if you don't know what's been going on with Young Thug and all these leaked calls from jail. Yeah, I don't look at this guy the same. He's one of my favorite artists. I can't look at him the same. And I'm starting to look at Pep, and it's giving me the ick. I'm starting to look at
when you see someone moving different, you're like, all right, why is he's doing something that I never used to see him do, especially in his prime. The Donnarumma thing, we went back and forth on Donnarumma a lot. Whether you think he's a good keeper or not is irrelevant right now. We know damn well when you look at Donnarumma, he's the anti-Pep goalkeeper. You look at Pep's career. He had Victor Valdez. He had Neuer, Claudio Bravo, Edison. All the one thing in common between all these goalkeepers, they were good sweeper keepers and they were good on their feet. With their feet. You look at Donnarumma, someone who literally was told by Luis Enrique, he's a good keeper, but he's not the profile that we want. AK, he's trying to say he's just not good on the ball. They get rid of him. And then he goes to Pep, who Pep and Enrique are the same thing. They play the same style of football. They're from the same school. They're the Catalan school. So when I look at parallel managers with parallel tactics, one of them is saying this goalkeeper can't play my way, and the other one is saying, yeah, he's a good goalkeeper. I have to question how. How is that? It just doesn't make sense. Like, how does that make any sense right now? only sense I can make out of it is what we've seen already from last season to this season. This team at this point is not even good. Like, they still have very good ball players. Their midfield to the front line, they're still very good at keeping the ball. But the back line and the goalkeeper, they get so exposed because they're such a bad transition team that he said, you know what? And this is my theory. At least I don't have proof, but it's my theory. He said, fuck it. At least go get me a better shot stopper than the one that I already have. Because when I concede a lot of transition, at least I have a good goalkeeper who's better at shot stopping than the other guy. I think Pep struggled along the way where he realized the league now has become a lot more faster, a lot more physical, and he did dominate. Don't get me wrong. I'm not dismissing what he did. He did dominate the league for a long time playing the way he did want to. But once the quality regressed and he's looking at the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Arsenal, the likes of Chelsea now, very strong teams that are capable of keeping the ball, but they can transition you on and off the ball. I think Man City struggled to do that. Their squad right now is a mixture of old school players and the new school he's trying to implement. And he's caught up in the middle land in the middle. And that's why he's kind of struggling. So I think he's trying to transition to that, but he's struggling along the way. That's why last season we saw him go 1 for 13. That's why this season, I'll be honest with you, if Rodri doesn't play 100%, because it is a possible fact, because he did do his ACL and we see him get a couple setbacks. If he faces another setback, I'm looking at this team, and Rodri already said, I can't do this alone. I'm looking at this team, and I'm seeing they're very vulnerable. I'm not going to go anywhere crazy where say, oh, they're going to finish like mid-table or whatever. They're still going to be up there because Pep is a very good coach. I watched Pep because I think Mo said that in the chat. He said, would you take him at United? I watched Pep is still like top 3 in the league. He's just when I say he's washed by his standards. So I'm not gonna go anything crazy and say that. But I wouldn't be surprised if this season again, I look at this team and I see them struggle. This is why when I did my predictions, Terry, since you mentioned it, I have them finishing 4th and I have them finishing 4th comfortably. And I'll tell you what, I told you this and I told Don this before the season even started, before a ball was kicked. What did I say? I said I have Chelsea and I have Arsenal comfortably finish ahead of them. So people are going to accuse me of being reactionary. You can't do that because I didn't do that based on the 3 results. I saw no ball being kicked and I said, you know what? The 3 teams that I can guarantee are better than them, in my opinion, are Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. So you could call it reactionary, but it's not reactionary if I've been saying it for weeks now before the season started.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Before you commentary, bro, it's just a boring script, bro. You can't just keep saying, oh, they've got Pep and they've got that. We actually have to break down the context of what's going on right now. You know, I'm looking at Arsenal's team right now. Listen, back to front is better than Man City's, right? There might be certain areas where Man City have more creativity with like a Cherki and, you know, Haaland is better than Gyokeres, obviously. But as a balance, as a whole, I'm sure Pep would rather have that squad, if anything, right? You're looking at Chelsea for me, bro. There's many areas where we're stronger than these guys. I think even defensively, bro, we've proven that we've got a better defense than these guys. You know what I'm saying? Last season, bro, we should have even finished above them, Terry, if we could fucking finish. We were far from Man City start of the season, you know, and we had a little drop off as well. Then I'm looking at Liverpool. They're better than Man City right now. Yeah, Arsenal beat Man City 4-0 at home, innit? Last season. Was it 4-0?
5-1.
Bro, but even Spurs beat them. Spurs beat them like 4-0.
And this is the thing for me, right? A lot's been said. A lot of things I agree with, right? But one thing that stood out is what you said, Staffy, is about what other managers have done in the past. And Don then said something that I do agree with, that he sees an agenda. And I will admit, I do have an agenda, but I believe it's a valuable one. Because I think it is valuable to football conversations and debate to not just accept Pep's better than Fergie. We all have to agree with it because 100 points, because of recency bias, because I can show you things that Fergie did wrong and how Fergie couldn't react. It's fine, but whenever I see these arguments, and I saw it again on the overlap clip going viral this week that was shared by the City fans, they make some good arguments. But my agenda is to, at the very least, push back in the other direction. And if you take a case in point around not always having the best players, Man United did a 3-peat, won the Champions League, had a brilliant team up until 2009. We then lost Owen Hargreaves to injury, and that was a massive blow to us. He never really kicked the ball for us again. Tevez left and actually went to Man City. Ronaldo left, and we replaced them with Obertan and Michael Owen, and Antonio Valencia was not a bad deal, but we spent sort of 27 million pounds as an example, which for 2009 was still not a lot of money, right? The following year, Okay, we didn't win the league that season. We came second by a point to Chelsea. The following year, where we went on to go and win the league, we signed Chris Smalling, we signed Bebe, and we signed Javier Hernandez, and we went on to win the Premier League season. The following year, we added David De Gea, who in that season wasn't particularly great. He was young. We added Ashley Young, we added Phil Jones, and people have got to go back and start looking at the spending that other clubs are doing in that time. We missed out on the Premier League on goal difference. The next summer, we did actually buy quite well. We went and got Robin Van Persie and Shinji Kagawa, but it wasn't like this mass overhaul. We still had problems with our squad in 2012, 2013, and we went on to win the Premier League by a country mile. And why I think that's all important context is we're not talking here. I mean, people, we see it in the comments here, Pep over Fergie by a country mile. I don't like this conversation. Yes, he's come into Man City and he's done very, very well in that period, but you are comparing, you're looking at Pep taking over a City team that had been champions a year or so earlier, Champions League semi-finalists. Fergie didn't take over Man United when we were that good. He took over a broken Man United that hadn't won a league title in 2 decades. Completely different scenarios. You look at Pep, when he took over Barcelona in 2008, they were essentially a blue chip company. He takes over Bayern Munich, one of the biggest serial winners in the world, absolute monopoly in their country. City, an already an established team, winning titles deep into Champions Leagues. You look at Sir Alex Ferguson. He took over St Mirren. Do you boys know who St Mirren are? Took over Aberdeen, who were a tiny little club that he actually broke the stranglehold of the. To put it into context, it's like someone taking over, but it's like a manager taking over. I'm trying to think.
Union Berlin and winning.
Union Berlin, and then completely. We've got to do a La Liga example because there's a 2-club stranglehold there. It's like somebody taking over Deportivo, okay, and then for 3, 4, 5 year period being consistently better than Barcelona and Real Madrid.
It did happen at Deportivo. That was a bad example. They actually won the league a couple of times.
I'm just thinking of
I get your analogy. Someone who's a complete outlier to come in and actually put themselves in a conversation that no one thought they belonged in. 100%, exactly. I agree with you.
And maintain it. And then obviously he took over United after 2 decades. So people do this thing of, you look at Fergie's first 7 years versus Pep's first 7 years, but they didn't take over identical situations. That is my issue. That is my agenda. That what we're actually seeing right now with Pep is the first real period. I know he added, listen, he didn't do no rebuild when he first went in there. I hate when Gary Neville says this. He did an extension on an already beautiful home. He added bedrooms into the loft, maybe. He did a loft conversion. They did an extension on the side and they added a pool to the back garden and they redecorated some rooms. Man City, this is the first time where City may have to knock part of their structure down, may actually have to start again. And it's the first time that he's been in this situation in his career and he looks like he's struggling. And I'm not saying I'm never going to try and undo Pep's legacy. Pep went into a Barcelona team with all that pressure and killed it. He got the next big job, killed it. Got the next big job, killed it. That is all great. But I don't like the comparisons because you remove the context of the situations. What we're now seeing is a year of struggle. Yes, he finished in the top 4, which you should with that squad. More money has been spent since their struggles began last year than Liverpool and Arsenal both spent in that time. We have to put that in because Liverpool and Arsenal and Chelsea, you must. You've spent another 300 or 400 million. City have spent more than them. So we can't ignore that point. Again, they've spent more money. They've added more money and more talent to a treble-winning, quadruple four-peat team. Then their starting position was better than all of you. You have to judge off that. You simply do. So for me, my agenda isn't to ever try and diminish Pep Guardiola's legacy. And if it comes across that way, then you've misinterpreted me. And I'm very sorry for that, but you just have. But what it's about is I don't like how Pep is used as a stick to attack other managers from other eras when the context is being removed. And I think what's really interesting, as a United fan, this is where the agenda is. I hope that he loses to United for obvious reasons. I hope then that Arsenal beat him. I hope he has a bad season because then it's going to be a case of, why can't he do what Fergie did, where when we lost some of our best players and the club was going through financial difficulties and was spending nowhere near what Chelsea's and City's were doing, how was Fergie able to build title-winning teams? In fact, go and look at the Chelsea challenge that Fergie had. People just do not remember it, or they remove context. Chelsea's first 3 years of Roman being at the club, and this is no salt, it's just facts. spent more money in those 3 seasons than Man United, Liverpool, and Arsenal combined in the previous 10 years in the Premier League. The average spend of Premier League clubs, which was considered high, was 30 to 40 million a summer. Roman came in and Chelsea started doing 150s to 180s every summer. Youngsters do not remember how that is the equivalent. Now everyone's averaging 200 million a year. That's the equivalent of a club now going bang 800 million, 800 million, 800 million, 3 years running. You'd all go, what the hell? Fergie was still able, spending slightly more, but not the same as Chelsea, able to build a team that surpassed that side. And again, we're at the moment in the first sign of trouble. We're seeing Pep spend more than the others and look like he's struggling. So when people do these comparisons of, oh, Fergie never got 100 points, didn't do a 4-peat, that's fair. But I think what you have to also throw into these arguments is both sides. What they did when they had a brilliant team. What did they do when they were struggling? What did they do when other teams had more money than them? What did he do when other teams were better than them? How did he counteract the problems? How did he fix issues? How did he adapt? Can Pep get a John O'Shea level player to play holding midfield for half a season and win a league? Can Pep, do that? Can he make that work? Can he find a way, if they're not perfect squad-wise, to still go and win a league title when he's actually, for the first time in his entire career in the Prem, got 2 to 3 other teams that are as good, if not better? It's the first time it's happened to Pep in a decade. It's the first time in his career, by the way, he now has 3 teams as good as him in the league. Every other time he's been a manager, and there's no fault of his own, I'm not blaming Pep. In Spain, typically, you might have 1 team, if not 2, that are the same as you. In Germany, there is, in the last 20 years, you may have 3 or 4 seasons where a team's genuinely been as good as Bayern Munich. And City, they've been the best team in England for this whole time, massively because of Pep. They had Liverpool in fits and starts for maybe 4 or 5 of those years at their level, and Arsenal for a couple of years slightly below it. When did they have 3? When you go back to the peak Jose's, the peak Wengers, the peak Fergies, they were competing against 2, 3, 4 teams a season that not only could win the Prem, you weren't laughed at for saying they could win the Champions League. And we haven't just forgotten this. And I don't blame them. I'm not being ageist. There's a lot of youngsters that are on these shows talking 25, 26, 27. They just weren't born, or they were being breastfed when this was going on. So they have no idea.
Bro, before the 2010s, around the 2010s, there used to be 3 Premier League teams every year in the Champions League semis. It was normal. Arsenal were there. Yep. Chelsea was there. Liverpool was there. United was there. We didn't win it every year. But yeah, we were there. It was a valid statement. Yeah, Barcelona popped in and just won a few of them and whatever, and Bayern and Inter. But we were in the semifinals every year. The level of the league was much different. Listen, I agree with everything you said. This is why I didn't even want to make it about Sir Alex, because if I didn't mention Sir Alex, people would say, as Don said, it would be agenda based. I went on a 10-minute monologue. But you know what, Don? I went on a 10-minute monologue. I didn't say Sir Alex's name once. So if I was able to carry on a 10 to 15-minute monologue without actually mentioning Sir Alex once, it just shows it has nothing to do with agendas.
Yeah, but the thing is, if Staffy though, listen, you're a better man than me though, because with this whole Pep discourse, right, it's now led to a lot of people disrespecting like Sir Alex. Yeah. And for me, I respect that guy because, bro, growing up, I've been through battles with you, man. I lived through it. And that's why when there's a lot of Chelsea fans that are like, oh, we can't compete against Pep, I'm like, are you mad? Like, bro, we used to compete against Sir Alex, bro. Are you mad? We took trophies from that man. Yeah. So when guys are trying to like, oh well, Pep's clear of him, I'm like, no, he's not. Like
Bro, some of the things that get said. Listen, first of all, a lot of it is Google search. People listen. I've seen all of a sudden now people are talking about, but look how many times he broke the transfer record in England. All right, that's a valid argument. You know what's so disingenuous about it? It's like, Don, it's like imagine you're talking to your grandpa and he's like, at your age, I had a house, a wife, and 4 kids. Well, guess what? It cost you like £10 to buy a house back then. Or it's like right now, salary to real estate value, I can't even get that. It's not the same thing. So when you compare generations, you got to remember, it was much harder to break the transfer record when the transfer record was 10 mil, 15 mil, then 20 mil, then 30 mil versus right now. Of course, now with the money and inflation go way up, it's much harder to break transfer records. But I'll tell you this, because I had this discussion yesterday with someone. I said, you know what? Forget about transfer records, because I do hear it. United broke the transfer record 6 times. It went all the way from Roy Keane to Dimitar Berbatov. And not everyone in the middle actually was a bank. Veron was a transfer record, and he didn't bank. So we can't even speak about him being a success at the club. But I'll tell you this. Go look at Man City since the Sheikh took over. Forget Pep. Since the Sheikh took over, and see how many times did they outspend everyone in the Premier League. And they didn't outspend. See if they finished first, second, or third. Because obviously not every year they're going to spend crazy. If you spent, like his first 2 summers under Pep, they outspent everyone in England. Obviously by now, expect in the 3rd year, because you spent 2 summers building your squad, now you're going to slow down a little bit. But I want you to go look since the Sheikh come in until now, see how many times they outspent everyone. Because it's not going to show as a transfer record. Jack Grealish is the only one who's a transfer record, so it's not going to show us that. But it doesn't mean that even if I'm outspending you, there was summers that Terry just mentioned where we were going in, we were getting Chris Smalling and Ashley Young in them, while people out there are getting, you guys are getting Hazards, they're getting Samir Nasri's, they were getting brilliant players. So I'll tell you that. Go check how many times they were outspending clubs in England. Not to mention, all that, by the way, is being done with the whole 115 cloud that's been over the club for years. Because the 115 cloud started with what? With salaries being under the table, with bonuses being under the table. So someone might be on the books, a certain signer of like 20 mil, 30 mil, whatever, or a certain salary just being at that point. But the reason 115 came out is because a lot of money was coming from by the way, we failed to mention that they're state-owned, a club that's state-owned, which Fergie never had that. He just helped build a club that eventually became the biggest brand in England, so he earned that. If you don't believe me, go ask Arsene Wenger what he used to say. He used to say, I'd rather sell to United than to sell the city, because they built their wealth while the other were bought. That was Wenger actually saying that. Right. All that just gets dismissed, but let's talk about how many records were broken.
You know, this is the problem. The record thing is a little bit of a red herring. Because yes, Man United did break transfer records, but in the first decade of the Premier League, okay, where Manchester United won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Premier Leagues in the first decade, all right, 8 did the double, so never been done in English football, and the treble. I can't. So yes, what Pep's done is brilliant, right? What Pep has done is amazing. In that first decade, when I say makes my goosebumps, 8 league titles in 10 years, okay? The double and the treble. So those records just never been done before, done for the first time, 10 years. This is the expenditure in that 10-year period. Man United were the 10th highest spender in the league in that decade. Facts. Unadulterated facts. So this is from transfermarket.co.uk. Newcastle, Leeds, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Blackburn, Everton, Villa, Spurs all spent more money than United. Yes, we broke records in that time, but we didn't spend more than these clubs did. By the time Fergie retired, it had gone up, but he's still only the 4th highest spender, maybe even the 5th in the league by the time he retired. Show me the last decade and show me how much money Pep has spent. There's no way he's 10th. He might not be top. I think Chelsea will now be top.
Chelsea's top, I know.
He's going to be second in the time he's been in the league. So this is where, again, and I'm not saying Pep's wrong for spending money. I'm stating that when people go, Fergie's barely broken spending, Pep barely broke transfer spending records, and Fergie did, you are not telling the whole story. It is a disingenuous argument the whole way. And this is why I don't want to slag Pep off, and I won't slag Pep off. But what I will do is when things are going wrong, when there are issues, when there are mistruths being pushed out there, I'll fight for it. Because, like, listen, people, you get a lot of people that hate the past coming up. Do you know the ironic part of this, gents, is talk to these people about the football today, and they're all about Standards FC and winning. But what is the point of winning if in the future you say it's all irrelevant? Then there's no point winning if you're just going to allow it to be undone and lied about in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time. It's preposterous to say that winning is all that matters, and at the same time say, why are you defending your previous winners? Well, what was the point of those wins if you're now going to diminish them? Imagine now a team winning 10 Premier League titles, 8 out of 10, 2 doubles and a treble, and 1 three-peat, right, in that time. Imagine all of that, and we're being sorry. It was 7 league titles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It might have been 7. It was 8. It was 8. It was 8 out of 11. It was 11 seasons.
That's the thing, though, Terry.
Either way, imagine being the 10th highest spender in that time. Now, that is, I don't know who's 10th now in the league. I'm going to guess in the last 10 years, it's probably been someone like West Ham. Imagine they won most of the league titles, hit a treble and did 2 doubles by being the 10th highest spender in the league. That's why when people say, oh, loads of things that have happened today, Fergie can compete in today's era. Well, maybe you give Fergie the level of spending Man United have had in the last decade. I tell you now, he would have won even more. This man weren't even able. The Newcastles and the Blackburns and these teams, we won
the Champions League and we sold Ronaldo and replaced them with Valencia and Gabriel Obertan. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? Crazy. The angle of money is what I have a disagreement with. I don't mind people having a debate between Pep and Fergie, because I do think there's things that go in Pep's favor and there's things that goes in Fergie's favor. I like these type of debates. You could talk about who's a better manager. You could talk about who's a better technician. You could talk about who had a longer peak. You could talk about who dominated a period of football in England longer with the same squad, because now you can argue the 4-peat versus the 2-3-peats. These type of arguments, I enjoy them because it just brings, you know what? It might bring an opinion that, I didn't really think of that. The issue is when people started using feelings, number one, and money. United and City, for different reasons, they shouldn't be talking about money, because I'll be honest, bro, it's like 2 rich kids talking about whose daddy's more rich. We were both rich kids for different reasons. Let's not do that. The one I'll be honest, and I'll just stop it at this. The one that pissed me off the most is when people who didn't, and I hate to do this because I'm not an ageist. I don't like telling people stick to whatever era you lived in, whatever country you're from. I don't do that shit.
No. You should. Unless they do the research, bro.
No, doing your research on facts, it doesn't mean that you know what it felt. So as an example, I said that yesterday and someone told me, oh, I didn't live through World War II. It doesn't mean I don't know what happened. I didn't ask you if you knew what happened. I'm asking you, how can you validate how you felt? So the argument was that kid, I don't even know his name. I'll be honest, he just annoys me. He just said, our treble is better. And his reason was because it's in this millennium. What kind of fucking argument is that? You are telling me because one is in a different era than the other. Bro, I could go back in that Fergie treble and say, we beat Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and I swear there was one more, the Juventus, and I swear we played Inter as well. When you look at the run and in the group stages, that was actually a very difficult run. You only look at the teams that we beat to win the FA Cup, to win the league. Bro, we had to beat Arsenal, what was it in the, sorry, not the final. It was in the semi-final, that Giggs goal. And then you got Newcastle, who was still a very decent team. You have a very good run. When you want to tell me about facts, I don't care, bro. Google is there for all of us to research. It's not that hard to just do a little bit, a little Google research. You can't tell me how you feel about something if you didn't live it. That is where the argument to me gets annoyed. And I'll be honest, bro. If this kid isn't Mancunian and he speaks that way, I swear to God, he gets slated, bro. Because I swear to God, if put me in a City jersey and I'll go ahead and say the same thing, everyone would just say, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not even from here. How would I know how great the Fergie era was? Don't talk about it. But this kid, bro, how old is he? 20, 21, whatever. It seems like he comes out like every other week. I don't know. I always see a clip from him talking about Fergie. I'd understand it more if it's like Big Steve, if it's like Daps, if it's like someone who's older that experienced the Premier League in the Fergie dominance and this one. I'll say, you know what? They probably know more than me because I'm younger than these guys. But when a kid just completely comes out and speaks about his feelings being facts and he gets away with it because he has a Mancunian accent, I'll be honest, bro. Like, just get the fuck out of here. That's all I'm thinking about it. Just fuck out of here with this. This ain't facts.
No, it's no. So I totally get where you're coming from, and I look at it from this point of view. You know, it's for me, it's the removal of the context and the full story. And the reason why it annoys me when it's on the overlap is, one, they've got Man United reps on there that just, they almost have nothing to say back. And I'm like, how do you not know? Have you not got one? You know it's coming. How have you not pre? For me, when I'm going into debates like that, I used to do a lot of those types of things. I always went in with, I know Fergie's going to be attacked. I know Scholes is going to be attacked. I know this person's going to be slagged off. I just learned stuff, and then obviously you learn it sticks with you. I'm ready for the false claims to come out, and you go boom, 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 boom with facts. What is going on? That's the bit that annoys me more than anything, because I won't slag Pep off. I'll criticize when he gets things wrong. I don't need to. And this was always my argument with the Gerrard versus Scholes debate. And you guys saw me ruin Don Hussam many times in the group chat with this. He would lie about things to do with Paul Scholes. I didn't have to lie about Gerrard once. He'd lie and say things like, people only ever wrote articles saying nice things about Scholes after he retired. And you guys are in the same group chat. And there I am putting in articles from the summer of 1999 when he's being lauded as the pinnacle reason we won a treble. But yet Don Hassam's on Spaces back in the day, and then on YouTube lying, saying that he was an afterthought in football. That's my issue with all these debates. It's not that you don't rate I don't care if you think Pep's better than Fergie. I don't care if you think Gerrard is better than Scholes. What I won't accept is lies being told and mistruths being said to win an argument. That's more my agenda. If you still think Pep's better, knock yourself out. But to say Fergie broke transfer records, therefore, and Pep didn't, therefore he's better, you're removing the fact that multiple teams play more than us.
That's the thing, though, Terry. You already know what era we're living in, bro. Like, listen, people might have been like this before, yeah, if there was social media. But you're seeing it, bro. It's like fire, innit? Like, well,
let's play this video. Let's play this video because we're going to speak about Wirtz in a minute being a flop. But let's play this video because this went viral today, and I think it's really important for what we do as a job.
Football YouTube, football TikTok, Sky Sports, fan commentary, all of it. Like, do you know that you're the ones that are in charge? Because so few of you act like it. Here's what I mean. You'll see people like, oh my God, listen to the way that we talk about football now. And then 2 minutes later, they will talk about football in that exact manner. I'm seeing so many videos that are like Florian Wirtz fraud watch after 3 games. First 2 didn't sparkle. Third, 20-minute cameo. Suddenly he's a flop, apparently, to people online. And the same people making videos doing that are also the same ones who eventually do videos going, why are we judging players too soon? There'll be people in the same video going, why are we judging players too soon? Whilst also doing hit and miss on signings that haven't even kicked a ball yet. When we were younger, there were these golden rules, right? A new player came into the league. You gave them time. It's going to take time for them to settle. You didn't expect them to hit the ground running because nobody ever really did. In Europe, if your team didn't win, you wanted the team of your nations to win, except for your rivals. So as a Liverpool fan, I wanted English teams to win the Champions League, except for Man United. If Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Man City were up there, I'm like, yeah, I want to see them win. But that's gone. That's been killed off by, like, the banter economy. And the excuse I always hear is like, oh, it's just the times we live in. You set the times we live in. You're in charge. If someone comes on your YouTube show or whatever and starts talking about Florian Wirtz, you shut it down. You're like, it's been 3 games. What's wrong with you? Talk to me in October of 2026. Instead, it's like, who's getting sacked first? Who's a fraud? A week after week. And then you'll all roll your eyes to it. You'll all do the content, and then you'll roll your eyes at the way the discourse has gone. And I'm like, you're doing it. You're setting the discourse. You set the standard. How are you not realizing it? You're the ones with the microphones. Because the thing is, there are people who don't resort to that, but they've built slowly. Stuntpeg did a really great job. I think James Allcott has done a really good job. To a certain degree, I think Mark Goldbridge never really played these games either. You set your own rhythm, and you do it well, and the audience will follow. It might take some time, but that's how culture works. Like, you build it, and people will come. I'm saying this as a...
What do you guys make of this? Because obviously he speaks a lot about the banter economy and how actually and we have seen this. We've seen it now where people were writing teams off based on one preseason game. Players have been written off. The Gyokeres, Wirtz has had it. People are calling him a... There's one thing, because we did a show yesterday, who do we think is going to be the signing of the season, who's going to be a bust? I think there's a difference between predicting someone to flop and saying they are a flop. It's proven, it's a fact. Do we think that football content creation, and I think we can all be guilty of this, so I'll hold my hands up as well. Do we think in football content creation now, too many big overarching claims are being made far 100%. Too prematurely?
100%, bro. And it's honestly jarring. It's honestly jarring. I think we've come to a world now where no one wants to be fair, Terry. No one wants to look at the little intangibles that are involved when you've got a player, a human being, by the way, whether they're a footballer or not. Wirtz right now has come to a brand new country, a brand new league. For me, long term, I think he'll be successful. But there's a bedding in period, bro. There's a period where he has to learn the tactics. He has to learn who he's playing against. He has to get used to the physicality. He has to get used to the crowd, bro. The different stadiums. The pressure that comes with literally being what 100 and how much was this guy? 110 million, 120 million. Yeah. There's all these little intangibles that people don't think about because it's like, yeah, you know what? As a Liverpool player, I'm gonna crash it on it, right? And that's exactly what happened with Caicedo as well. They just completely ignored all these little intangibles. Whereas with me, bro, I've always said, give a player time. You got to give a player a little bit of time to get their rhythm onto things, and then you start to judge them a little bit more. And I'm not saying don't judge them from the beginning. No one's saying, just let this guy get away with murder because he's only been here for, I don't know, 6 months and that. Cool. But just allow people a reasonable amount of time to do something. Because even right now, when I'm looking at Wirtz, it don't look like a quality problem. It looks more like a confidence problem, Terry, right? He looks like he's been passed on responsibility. not really trying to be on the ball, you know, kind of hiding behind players. I saw him come out of his shell a little bit against Arsenal in the second half, but I said the exact same thing about Dewsbury Hall. When I was watching this guy at Leicester balling out, he comes Chelsea, I saw a completely different player, bro. I saw a player that was not that confident on the ball, and clearly to me, that was because of the move that he made, right? But so many people just want to, you know, crash it because, oh, he's your op, he's your rival and that. They don't want to be fair. You can't have any genuine conversations. That's why it's, bro, there's not many guys that I do content with, because I can't deal with the constant just bashing and, you know, big pause on that as well, by the way, people, yeah? I can't deal with that, bro. Let's have a grown-up conversation about this guy, you know? Because when you ask people, what I do these days, Terry, yeah? I ask people direct questions, because they'll be crashing it. Okay, what, do you think Wirtz is shit then? No, I don't think it's shit. Okay, do you think Wirtz will be successful? Yeah, he might be. All right, so then why are you doing all of this right now then? Why are you doing all of this right now? You're just trying to get a reaction, clearly. You know what I mean? It's honestly boring. I'm sick and tired of it, bro. Sick and tired of it. Honestly, bro.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And look, I think we've all been guilty at this. Listen, the banter is an important part of the game. I've been probably called out now for the better part of 18 months. I'm Terry's always trying to control what banter people have. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't do banter. I'm saying it's not funny anymore because it's overdone. We had an expression when I was a kid, and it was that you're milking it, which basically meant you're doing too much. It stops being funny. And you can criticize Wirtz's first 3 games without completely writing him off. I do think you can feel that he will be a flop and say that, but 3 games in doesn't prove you right. I had a conversation about 3 years ago, and I don't remember who this was with because I've had so many. They signed a striker, and I want to say it was Kai Havertz. It might have been Brandon that said this, and I was like, he went, it ain't going to work. He ain't good enough. And I remember saying to him, what could he do? What could Kai Havertz do? What would he have to do in an Arsenal shirt for you to go, he's actually been a success? And I think he said, nothing. He just won't ever move me. That's it. He's a dead signing. And I remember just thinking, oh God, is that the direction we're moving in? It might have been Brandon. It might have been somebody else. I don't quite remember. But it's one of those things where you sit there and think, are we really moving? Are we meandering in that direction where we're essentially, we're so subjective and narrow-minded that there's no openness. We're writing players off too soon. I think preseason is important for getting players in early, getting the team match fit. Man United, a great example. I said I wanted 3 players in by the second week of preseason, predominantly attackers. We haven't seen Šeško really start games because he isn't fully match fit. We're only now just starting to see the best of Mbumo going into the 3rd, 4th game because he didn't have a full preseason with us. That element is important. Do I think overly the results are that important? No. Do I think we have to play brilliantly in all the games? No. But I see people now, they'll watch a team and they'll have 2 or 3 and they'll have a couple of good preseason games and they're winning the league. Other times they'll teams look really bad, they're being written off. And it's like, I feel like the guy said it in the video and he's right. People are trying to pay the rent. And I think we've got into this stage now where a lot of people think I've got to say the most outrageous things possible. I've got to be as biased as possible. I've got to be as agenda driven as possible because I've got to pay the bills. And I just don't think it's good, just from an industry perspective. And we're in this industry. I don't think it's good for all of us. And I'm not trying to control what people say or do. You're free to do what you want. But I'm just saying that I have a feeling in the next 18 months in this industry, the overly biased people, the people that are always just there to try and shit on other people's teams consistently, I think you're going to find that your channels and your platforms and your TikToks and these things start to die away because I think people are getting very, very bored with exceedingly limited objectivity. I think people now want to hear
United for eternity. That's perfect. That's perfect there because I saw the guy called Ian saying it's a bit further up. It's a bit further up. Yeah, there's a guy called Ian saying that I do that, and I'm like, bro, I can be shameless about certain things. You guys know me. You've known me long enough now to know when I'm shameless. But when it comes to talking ball, bro, I will be objective, right? And he spoke about what you said about Brandon with Kai Havertz, bro. Kai Havertz, I even wanted this guy. I didn't mind this guy staying at Chelsea, bro. When he was at Chelsea in the last season, I said, bro, off the bench, I don't mind. If we sell him, I don't mind moving him on. But off the bench, he can definitely be a useful guy. And what I told these gooners as well, as much as obviously, you know, there were some guys were gassing him up and that, and some guys were cooking him, I was still balanced with it, bro. I said, for me, he's not useless. He can help off the bench. He's not going to be the guy to push you to the next level. And I don't believe that Arteta should have spent 65 million on him. But as a squad player, he's not a bad player to have. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how I felt about him, I had to be objective about it. But many people struggle to do that, bro. It's consistent. It's consistent agendas. Last season, because people like to claim that I've got this agenda with Saka and that. I do have an agenda about Saka. I think he's overrated. But last season, I was bigging this guy up for pretty much half the season until he got injured. I don't use my agenda of him being overrated to now, oh, I can't give him any credit. You've got to be balanced, bro. Yeah. I've been cooking Chalobah, Terry. When Chalobah first came back, I was cooking this guy for time, but he's been good for months and I've been bigging him up. Same thing as Sanchez. I was crashing it on Sanchez start of the season. He's improved. I've been bigging him up. But people are telling me now want Sanchez to stay.
Well,
you know,
what
probably defending
and you know how it's getting bad. This is how it's getting bad, right? Like, mate, this is it, right? So I don't know how many times now I get called a flip-flop for changing my mind. And I'm like, no, you changing your mind is, I just reject this notion. I think it's bad for what we do as a job, because you have to be open to changing your mind if new information arises. And if you're not, then I think you're not for this space for me. But as you say, these agendas are just so entrenched in people, and people are just so desperate to be, they do the prediction and then everything's about proving that they're right, as opposed to being open-minded and having dialogue and conversations. I've been watching a lot of content in the last couple of weeks, bit of scouting for people that I might want to do some work with, and the amount of channels I'm just sitting on where it's fine to have a stance. So someone here said, Terry, but you bigged up Wirtz, you think he's going to be brilliant. Yeah, what did I say at the beginning of this conversation? That's absolutely fine for you to think you don't think Wirtz is that good. But it doesn't mean every time he kicks a ball, makes a mistake. Told you. It's actually boring. It's annoying. And it's, why is he not doing very well? Because I told you he's crap. Do you think it could be the style of play? No, it's because he's crap. Do you think maybe there's this issue? No, it's because he's crap. It isn't even that you're annoying. There's no conversation. There is no dialogue. There is no open-mindedness to other suggestions. And I do mean this as someone who understands this industry. It will die if every conversation becomes closed because everyone's got their agendas and they don't want to yield from it. And the banter economy, I think, plays a big part in that. For some people, it's just all I want to do is laugh at a rival. And we saw with David Raya the other day, everyone jumped on it. He's blaming balls. None of us took the time to go, hang on a minute. Why is he talking about the football? Sky Sports asked him about the balls and the flight of the balls, because a lot of people have been complaining about it in training at all clubs, that these balls really fly away, smooth in the air. So we answered the question about, they asked him, they cut the question out and said, David Raya blames the balls for the goal. Because the banter economy is so high, it's got to jump on it. Instead of going, hang on a minute, this is misinformation of the highest order. And there are moments where you want to have fun. There's moments where you want to dig into people. You have a joke here and a joke there. But I'm just getting to a point that the mainstream media jump on it. And the other day, Jamie Carragher saying that Ruben Amorim's only got a job because he's good looking. And I'm sitting there going, what in the KY jelly is this? And I just think I do agree with that TikTok person. We control the narrative in the sense of people are open to come on the terrace and say what they want. But we should be pushing back against absolute drivel. And there is a lot of crazy things that get said that are far too early, far too premature, especially if you can't back it up. So I know someone commented, well, Staffy said that Pep's washed, that's overreacting. Staffy is basing it on over 12 months of results and performances and money being spent. That is far different from what we're sort of talking about here. Let's do some super chat before I go, Staffy. This here says, but in the other end of the spectrum, there are people like you predicting Šeško's going to be a hit despite recent history. You can hope he'll be a hit, but that's not what I said. Hang on a minute. Your argument holds no water. Nobody has stated, not myself, not Don, not the gentleman in that TikTok video. No one has said you can't have an opinion on how good or bad a player may or may not be. But it's about, let's just say Šeško has a bad opening 3 months and doesn't score a goal. Imagine he then scores a hat trick. Me going, told ya. It's ridiculous. So far I've been wrong and I have to hold that. If he starts turning it around and he eventually becomes a good player, I go, oh, well, then I was right. Is people are so hell-bent on proving their agendas right. And it's not even about whether you are right or wrong. It's being open-minded for conversations. And this is how you know people are shutting this down. This is how you get the Garcia. I would say 80% of YouTubers now do this. What would make you say you were wrong about Arteta? What would make you say Arteta deserves to stay at your club? What would you say if he won a Premier League? Well, I'll answer that when it happens. Well, why won't you give an answer now? No, I'll answer it when it happens. Well, you mean so you can move so you can see what the situation looks like, what the Overton window looks like, what isn't acceptable, where you could move the goalpost to, rather than settings. People doing that now so they can continue an agenda. Because I know what will happen if Arteta wins the league. A lot of his outers will say, yeah, but it's 1 in 6 years. Ain't good enough for £1 billion. The agenda will just move because that's what they do. And I'm using them as an example. I'm not saying this is about you've always got to be right or you can't, you've got to change your mind every 5 minutes. It's about having open-minded dialogue and conversations. Me, Don, and Staffy rarely agree on everything. But I think we do something which is we at least see each other's perspectives and points of view. Me and Staffy all summer were going at it, arguing, fighting, banting, calling each other out. There was some fun in that. It wasn't a real beef, but we still listened to each other, Garcia. And I think that is the difference here, rather than trying to, and you do this to me a lot. You often twist a lot of what I say and you put it into a very narrow sentence, as opposed to going, oh, no, I get where Terry's coming from. And he did caveat it and he said this and he said that. You just narrow it down to you said this would happen.
And the thing is, Terry, people don't understand, that you can change your take based off of new information, bro. Like,
100%.
This whole flip-flopping thing, it's mad to me. Like, I only kind of look at people that are flip-flops if, 1 second they're saying, oh, get this guy out of my club. The next second they're saying, give him a 5-year contract, 6-year contract, like a week later. That's mad flip-flopping. But if you can clearly see that there's a player in your team that was underperforming, and now all of a sudden they've started to improve because the system's changed, or the quality around them's better, or they've got more confidence, they've got used to playing with a team. Why can't you say, bro, this player's improved? Like, they've improved. I cooked them before, but they have proven me wrong. That's exactly what you want. Because Terry, when your players improve, it only helps you, right? And that's why it confuses me when there's guys that are improving for your club and guys are like still trying to crash it on them and still having this agenda. Like, for example, like Sanchez, for example, Sanchez, we know his distribution ain't great. It's meaty. It will never be like Edison. It will never be like Allison, right? But all I ever hear these people talking about is his distribution. They never talk about his saves. They never talk about some of the things that he does that are good in the team. It's always about what he does with his feet. And I'm like, we know this. That's why we're all still asking for an upgrade, right? But you have to be able to give praise to this guy who has actually improved. I'll probably say since that little period we had where we were shit, he's actually been quite good. Yeah, that doesn't mean that I want him to stay, because I agree we all need an upgrade. But be able to praise and criticize, bro. That's what it is for me. And there's a lot of people that can't do it. They just can't do it, bro. Once they've made up their mind, that's it. That's it, man.
I hear you. Staffy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sorry, I was on mute. The funniest thing about it is you made a very good point. When you see new evidence, you make new opinions. I always find it funny on YouTube, which is why I don't pay too much attention to it. When you just say something, you make an opinion on something, and then people say, oh, you always think you're right. You just never change your mind, da-da-da-da. But then you'll see something to suggest a difference in opinion. You're like, you know what, fuck, I'm going to change my opinion on this because I do see something different. And then people accuse you of being a flip-flop. So which one is it? Do you want me to be wrong and strong, or do you want to accuse me of being a flip-flop? I'd rather be open-minded. Listen, you guys, you spoke for a while and you summed up very well. A lot of it is banter. Like, I was joking calling versus the German Mason Mount. But let's be honest, if you offer me a chance right now to sub to swap Mason Mount for Wirtz, of course I'll do it. It doesn't mean that like I'll be a liar and be like, no, I wouldn't do it. A lot of it is banter. Banter you do with your friends. Don DMs me like every day something to talk shit about United. We laugh about it, but then we come here and we speak a little bit objective. That's fine. Listen, banter is a part of sports.
You see my Twitter. I'm shameless on my Twitter, bro.
No, I get it. I act on Twitter childish as fuck. Twitter is where I act completely different from YouTube. I get to be a little bit more of a child on Twitter, whereas like here I kind of have more serious conversations.
Now, what it is, Staffy, is when he's face to face with people, his arse goes and he gets nervous. That's what it is. He ain't got.
It's just like,
for it.
I'm just not gonna act like a clown in front of people. Like, I'm gonna bring an intellect conversation as much as I can. So there's a little bit of banter, but that video, I completely agree with it. It does become a little bit annoying. I think like things like the 007 gimmick, listen, it's fun to do it sometimes and joke about it. and shit like that. But like in reality, it is annoying. Like I miss that era of football when people, it was fine for a player to struggle in his first year in, and then a year later, you're like, oh, look at him. He's finally settled in. He's finally settled into the team. That used to be a thing. It used to be a thing in football where like players that were actually afforded time, they weren't expected to come in and score 20 goals right away. And you know, I'm actually name drop because like one of these examples is Kunle. Listen, Kunle is my guy, but I'm gonna cook him when it's doable. I remember having a conversation with Kunle about Sesko, and he said that he expects Sesko to score 20 plus. Because he asked me how many goals do I think he scored. I said realistically, with the raw talent that he is and the stage that United are at, I probably think he's gonna score like if he scores 10, 12 goals, I think it's a good season. And I think I was specific with 12. And he said, nope, I'm expecting to score 20 plus. I was like, what's your argument? He said he's coming in for what, over 70 mil, 60 mil, whatever. The game is the game. He has to score. He has to deliver. I was like, oh, hold on. So let me guess. By that logic, who's supposed to score more, him or Gyokeres? Because he's more expensive than Gyokeres. But yeah, Gyokeres, if you ask football fans, I'd say 80% of them would say that Gyokeres is going to score more goals this season. But it was dictated by the price tag. Now, I know it's not actually dictated by the price tag. It's just by the fact that we just like to put unrealistic expectations on rivals players and say, if you spent that much, it means they need to do this. By that logic, I mean, Anthony should have been the best winger in the world because we paid like 80, 90 million for a couple seasons ago. No one was really looking at him that way.
When you've got ridiculous, childish, you know, agendas like that, Staffy, what happens is you end up finding yourself in a pickle, right? You found him in a pickle right there because the logic does not hold up. It doesn't hold up. It's not a genuine conversation. People like that, you can't have genuine conversations because now it's like, I don't care what you've got to say about Sesko, the fact that he's still, you know, developing and he hasn't reached his prime as of yet. He's still he's 22. Yeah. You're looking at Amram, the system that's going on right now where he's not really getting many chances. Forget all of that. He has to score 20 goals because he came for X amount of money. Yeah. It's just annoying. Again, that's why I ain't got time for those sort of people. I'm sorry, bro. I ain't got time for those sort of people. I lose brain cells having conversations with people like that, bro.
So I'll give you an example with it. So, for instance, we would obviously this is where I think there's a mixture of funds. We did a ranking show for the first time in 3 years yesterday on Six Sided, and Tom's talking about how Wirtz is going to come into the league and he's going to be arguably the best 10 in the league. And we're saying, well, what would stop him from being considered what does he have to achieve to go into? I think we wanted to put him into the category of like blockbuster signing and everything else. And he was saying how he needs like 20 GA for the whole season. We're saying probably needs a little bit more than that if we're being absolutely across all competitions. And I think we end up settling around 35%. And there was some banter in it where we're like winding him up to make him pushing it to make it higher. But I think the viewers can understand the difference between having 5 minutes of banter with a fellow panelist and pushing that as the agenda for a whole 15, 20 minutes. Because I then came in and said, yes, the GA is important for any attacking player, but their influence on a game, how they carry it. Like, you know, Kunle hasn't had any GA for us yet. But if you've watched their opening 3 games and don't think Cunha's been good, football's not for you. He's been, you know, if everyone would have performed to Cunha's level in their respective positions, we'd have 9 points right now and would have won all 3 games and would have beaten Grimsby. So his performances have been good, and it's fair to put that in there. Now, prices do dictate the expectations to whether or not a player has been a bust or a hit. For instance, if Anthony had come in for 25 million, I don't think he'd be looked at as big a flop as he did. But interestingly, if we judged Anthony after his first 3 games, he'd have been one of the biggest hits in Premier League history. He scored 3 goals in 3 games and played.
No, but here's my point: if expectations were set based on prices and not analytics, it means just spend more money. Because logically, I was like, wait, hold on. If a player is 50 mil, fuck it, I'm just going to pay 70 because now it means he's going to perform better. Performances don't come hand in hand with prices. Yes, we expect them to make sense, but that's why there's a difference between United, as an example, Chelsea, and City. What's one thing we've complimented City over well over the last decade? They've been one of the best, if not the best, recruiters of talent in England and in Europe. What's one thing we criticize United for is that United spent a lot of money, but the recruitment that they made wasn't good. If it was just based on money, it means I'm going to ignore every football analytical aspect when it comes to recruiting a player and just say, put more money because it's going to make sense he banks.
Exactly.
You can't have intellectual conversations like that, which is why Don is absolutely spot on when he says it becomes difficult having these conversations with rivals because right away, Wirtz as an example, and I'm going to let you go, Wirtz and Isaac as an example. By that logic, these 2 alone should give me like 40 GA. am I really going to be logical if I say I expect a combined 70 to 80 GA from Wirtz and Egal because both of them were record signings? No, it's not. I have to look at everything else. I have to look at their positions. I have to look at their age. I have to look at their profiles. I got to look at what leagues they're coming in. I can't expect Wirtz to come in and make a mock out of the Premier League right away. It's fun to make those jokes between him and Shirky because there's a little bit of rivalry between the Wirtz camp and the Shirky camp, but that's all for the banter. When it comes to real talk about football, if Wirtz comes in, I'll be honest, if Wirtz comes in and he scores a goal or 2 goals every game, that kind of shows that the Premier League was a farmers league anyways. And it did it. So it kind of shows the level of the league. But equally, I'm not going to sit here and say he's finished, he's flopped. The kid is going to be here for at least 5-6 more years. Yeah, we're all going to look stupid when in a couple games he's getting into form and they're banging, they're going to win the league anyways. So why would I do that early?
Spot on, bro. Yeah. Because again, another example, Caicedo came in for over 100 million. Yeah. There was people straight away on his case and he wasn't performing to the best that he could be. For me, there was many reasons why. But again, when you're having conversations with these sort of people, when I'm talking about Poch's Island and how Caicedo is literally dying out there by himself, they don't want to talk about it. It's no. You spend 105 million on this guy. He's got to be able to do everything, bro. Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah.
You know the context of Enzo Fernandez and the fact that we bought him in January, the fact that his market value was 55 million, the fact that Terry, if we didn't buy him in that January, we wouldn't have got him that summer because we didn't make Champions League football. Let's ignore all of that. You paid 105 million for the guy. He has to come in and be doing Rabonas from the defense to the attack, scoring hat-tricks every other game because he costs 105 million. That's what the logic is, and that's why, like I said, I pick and choose who I do content with, bro. I'm not shy to say that because there's too many people that they hurt my brain. I lose too many brain cells, and I'm not here.
I hear you, and you always get that. Listen, I know I ask questions sometimes that are difficult, and I do pose, I think decent questions at times that are designed not to catch. They're never really designed to catch people out. People think they are. It's to delve deeper into why people think things. But I think there are others that everything's loaded. It's like you're asking me that question because you sit there and I know you've already got a response and you're trying to force me into a certain answer so you can throw something at me. But like Kenny says something here, right? And Kenny says, I ain't hearing anything from Man United fans at the moment. They just need to be quiet and quit whilst they're behind. And again, this type of logic's crazy. Just because my team's doing bad, it doesn't damage my ability to understand football. And I would never set this as a precedent because what it means is, my friend, right now it means Liverpool fans can talk the most because their team's great. What happens if your team falls off? Are you just going to not talk football anymore? It's crazy.
Why would you even adjust this comment? I consider these type of comments the lowest IQ of comments. There's a lot of banter that I kind of accept. People who say you're not allowed to speak on something because you're a United fan. They said that about the video me and LB going back and forth, and they're like, "Oh, this United fan is giving so much chess." I was like, I was back in club. Nothing in the video had to do with United. So what's the point of you bringing United in it? It's like you saying you don't have an opinion on something because you're not it. It's like I'm asking, can you define a cat? But you can't tell me define a cat because you're human. That's just stupid. You're not a cat, but you can tell me what a cat is, right? Come on, man.
Well, you can probably get in trouble for that these days. There's certain things you're not allowed to define. A lot of it comes down to most people not being able to admit when they get something wrong. Yeah, absolutely. So what you now see is this: they make very narrow, small arguments, so that they will just say things that are really easy to digest, and in that little world, in that little sphere, they can be correct. But there's no room for nuance. There's no room for, what if this, what if one of the biggest reasons why, why do you keep doing if buts and maybes? Because part of a conversation, isn't it? It's part of there almost isn't a conversation you have in any walk of life, a proper conversation where an if, a but, a maybe comes up. You always think about it. You're planning, you're going on holiday. We're going to leave at 8 o'clock. We're going to do this first. Well, what if this happens? What about this? How are we going to do that? But what if that goes wrong? Everyone speaks like that. When you see people trying to shut that down, it's because they're trying to push a certain narrative. They don't want to be seen as wrong, and they only want it to be framed in a particular. We saw it at the end of last season, didn't we? The Arsenal fans. I'd rather be in the. We're actually going to play a clip. Actually, reminds me of this. Let's play this clip. This is from.
Before you do, I'm sorry. One second. Before you do, because I really get triggered at these comments because it's absolute lies. There's a person in the comment, 90 Steven 1008, something like that. He says Staffy was one of those fans who said Ugarte is a flop.
Sorry, what time was the comment? Do you know?
It was a few minutes. It was a couple minutes ago. If you scroll up a little bit,
see if I can find it.
Where is it?
This is KJ's job. He should be backstage doing this, but he's actually just come backstage. Did I say that?
yeah. It's It's at 11:25 for me, so something 25 for you. Just at 5 hours.
I'll find it, mate. I'll find it. There it is.
Yeah, it's right there. It says Staffy is one of those fans who said Ugarte is a flop after 3 games. He does the same to players he hates. Absolute lie. I have a video that dropped before we even signed Ugarte. I dropped that video when Ugarte was when David Ornstein said the transfer has fell through. We're not going to sign him. Every United fan came out that day and they were kind of crashing out saying, "Oh my God, we're not going to get him now." I came out and said, if you want me to read the exact title, I said, "Good news, Manu Ugarte deal is off." I go on and explain in a 10-15 minute video why Ugarte is not the profile that we need, how I don't rate him, and we needed someone like Zubamendi. A year later, no one rates him, and everyone rates Zubamendi. So for you, once again, this is why I don't like when people lie. I didn't not rate him after 3 games. I didn't rate him when we just got linked with him. So you can't accuse me again of being reactionary or an agenda when I just didn't want the signing at all.
See, Steve's right. I agree with Steve. See, that there's banter. That there is not real, right? You feel the difference, and it's short-lived. Guardiola will never get sacked. He will walk. I actually agree with you. Yeah, I do agree with you. And by the way, I am predicting this. I think City will lose the next 2 games. I think United will beat them, and I think Arsenal will beat them.
Or I need that LB pack. I need that LB pack because
it's amazing. And then my hot take, which I never thought would come true, if those 2 things happen, then I'm gonna go. Then I believe my hot take will come true. I think if he loses those 2 games, he's gonna walk by Christmas because they're gonna be out the title race. Because I just see Arsenal and Liverpool both winning their next couple of games, and they're just gonna end up being. And Chelsea have got Man United. Man United's next 2 games are interesting because we play City away and then we're at home to Chelsea, and it's one of those interesting ones.
There's 3 points in those games, Terry. I'll tell you that. There's 3 points there.
I've got a ticket for that game against you, man.
There's 3 points there, man. I'm not telling you where.
I don't know if I don't go up there to go see that shit. Because it's been 12 years now, isn't it? 12, 13 years since we beat you there.
What I'll do, I'll have a chat with Goldbridge. I'll get, because their studio is right by the ground. Maybe go in, if you lose, especially, go in and do the fan forum show afterwards with Beth and the guys. It'd be great fun.
United Stand. I'd pay to watch that.
But it's like one of those. Listen, Man United season. It's weird, right? If we lose both those games, I think Amorim will either walk or get sacked. I think the toxicity will go so much. I just think something bad will happen. But it shouldn't be like this. But it's crossroads. I feel like if we were able to win both those games and it was 3 wins on the bounce, suddenly you'd have the same people calling for his head. They'll be on their streams going, "We could win a title. We could win a title." But I'm not going that far. My feet will be firmly on the ground. After 3 games, people calling Wirtz a flop is a little bit too quick to judge. The bloke has only been at Anfield 5 minutes. What a lot of it also is, United Greek fan, is I get people want him to be a flop. But it's really funny because obviously I make a lot of content that's quite unbiased and I've naturally fallen into doing it. And I get called out by a lot of people that say, "Oh, you're sucking off rivals." If you think that, you think it. I'm not going to change making the content that I want. I enjoy the content I make. I'm very comfortable with it. Crack on with your life. But actually, I look at the majority of the comments and people are sort of, "Do you know what?" And I like it because even in the comment sections, I'm able to have grown-up conversations about football with an element of banter. And I think back to being a kid, not when you're a young man, 18, 19, 20. You and your boys going out. I don't know about you, Staffy. Do your boys like football? You're the only one. I know that happens quite a bit in the States.
Growing up, I didn't have when I moved to the US, there wasn't a lot of my friends that did. Basically, everyone who grew up around me here who liked football was just the Egyptian gang I was around. Okay. That's it. The common American didn't.
Do you get that? So, me and Don, probably the benefit of growing up in England, every day was football. You spoke about it, you bantered it, you played it, whatever it was. But even when it was with your mates, the conversations there'd be an element of. I remember once I was at my house, so the boys were around, about 7 or 8 of us there, and Liverpool had just failed to make it into the Champions League. I think they came 6th or 7th. And about 3 of us were standing near the corner. Me, my mate Martin, who's Spurs, they'd made it into the top 4. I think that was the season where Crouch got the winner. The Etihad. Phil was there, he's Arsenal. I'm United, and then somebody else was there. And then Junior came over. Now, Junior's Phil's cousin, he's a Liverpool fan. And as he came over, he just went to speak. And obviously, all boys, I put my hand on his chest and pushed him back a bit. He didn't move because Junior's massive. I went, no, bruv, it's the top 4 corner. And everyone sort of laughed. And then he carried on talking. But then we got to speaking normal football. And that's how, for me, it should be. You have moments where you throw in a bit of banter. You might throw in the occasional comment where you're winding someone up, but you still had serious conversations. And I just want that to, again, I can't control what any other content creator does, and I will never try to. But I just want to be more like that on the Football Terrace moving forward. I think it makes for better conversations. I think people enjoy it. You all saw Esteval try to little bro Casemiro. What do you mean? What did he do?
Have you not seen it?
It's like one of those, like he's trying to put an arm around his shoulder and speak to him. And Casemiro's like, bro, I'm not having that from you.
Yeah.
Even did this.
That's what I was like, all right, just try it. Like, it literally just trying to give him advice.
I heard Casemiro play quite well last night.
No,
I read
he did.
I haven't watched the game.
I watched the game. I watched it. Esteval.
I only read like someone posted that he played really, really well. 66 minutes he played. I was like, oh, good.
No,
I saw Esteval's overhead kick goal though. It's very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, Esteval scored. He scored. He played well. João Pedro, he vomited, man. He ran into Martinelli. Martinelli elbowed him. Yeah. And João Pedro was on the floor, winded. He just vomited everywhere. Martinelli was looking medium.
Why does Martinelli even get called, bro? When I start telling you Joga Finito, it's because of that. Why was this guy playing for Brazil, bro?
Yeah, man, it's embarrassing. My boys were playing up top with him, bro. It's embarrassing. It's a shame. It's a shame.
This here says, see this thing we don't see. This is things we don't know. Like Fergie can he. I don't know what you mean, bro. Sorry. Could Pep do a Leicester, for example? No.
I don't think Sam mentioned that. I'll be honest, bro. The exception is not the rule. I don't have to use the most complete outlier to say, can someone do that? Bro, if you hit, I don't know, a 1 in a million shot to win the lottery, I'm not going to go expect Don to do that. Come on. That was the biggest miracle we've ever seen in the Premier League.
My question is let me ask you this question then. Do you think Pep could do what Jose did at Porto and what Fergie did at Aberdeen?
No. That's more fair. No, I don't think he can. I don't think he can. For people who don't know, just go look up what Jose did with Porto. He took a team, one of the biggest teams, if not the biggest club in the country, failing, and he made them league winners and treble winners in a couple of years.
Yeah. Nav here says, can Pep win with an average team? There's no data that suggests he can, because even when his own team, when he first came into City, he didn't have the players, and then he's lost players and the recruitment's been bad. Both those times, his teams failed to win the league or even compete for it. So there isn't any data to say that he could. City fans defended Pep equals Liverpool defended Trent, Don defended Enzo.
Bro, I went viral just the other week, absolutely cooking this guy. The first game of the season, he stunk. Yeah, I'm not scared. I'm not scared to crash up my players, bro. You know how much I like Palmer. Yeah. I was crashing Palmer for most of last season because what he was doing in front of goal was not good enough.
I hear that. Pep needs a year off to go on holiday and refresh. He needs to change of team. He won't get sacked. He is respected because of his CV. Yeah, I don't know if he'll be sacked. If you ever hear mutual, they've gone by mutual consent. I think that always means sacking. Look at Daniel Levy yesterday. It was announced he left. The more you read into the story, you can see man was pushed. He basically got sacked. But we've all seen it in the corporate world. Oh, the MD's handed in his resignation. No, he was sacked, but they let him go.
It's like Wenger, man. Wenger was sacked.
Yeah, they let him go peacefully. Thor Thunder says Pep Salid header. I don't know what that means. I've never seen Terry write Arteta sacked. So, as the lead header, I've definitely done videos where I spoke about, and the title was mentioned Arteta being sacked. We actually did streams 3 or 4 years ago that were literally called the Arteta Out Show. So, yes,
I think you meant to say Pep sacked header, not Salid.
Oh, yes. Well, it's a suggestion. It's a suggestion based on the claim that Staffy's making. If you don't like the title, fuck him, yeah. On overreactions, right? On overreactions. Do you guys also think there is a bit of a similar being done with Victor Gyokeres because he didn't have great statistics against Liverpool in the opening game? Do you think too many people are writing him off too soon? Or do you guys agree that, or do you hold the beliefs that he's just maybe not a Premier League player? And if
you know what, I'm glad that you brought that up, because me and Staffy have had conversations on the phone about this, where it's like, out of all the teams he could have gone to, looking at that style of play, that's arguably the worst team he could have gone to, bro, because they just don't play to his strengths, right? Again, people expecting Gyokeres to be playing like Isak or dropping like Jackson and getting on the ball like Pedro and getting on the ball like Ekitike. He's not that. right? He's not that. You need to be feeding this guy the way that KDB was feeding Haaland when he first came and they won the treble. That is what you need to be doing for this guy, bro. Right? If you've got man just running about, fighting people in duels and that, you're not gonna see the best of him. The team needs to play for him. I saw the other day Cecil on AFTV saying, he needs to adapt to the team and that. Bro, you brought this guy in, yeah, and you've spoken about many times how he's cool. How many goals this guy's scored? Over 90 goals in like two seasons or something mad like that, right? You've spoken about how Arsenal create chances, but we haven't got a finisher that can finish them, right? You've brought in Zubimendi, you've brought in Eze, yeah. You've still got Odegaard there, you've got Nwaneri there, you've got what's his name, Max Dowman and that there, right? It's the manager that I'm looking at more than anything, because with these sort of players, there should be a lot more fluidity in that team to help Gyokeres. Gyokeres should just be in and around that box, in and around that zone, finishing chances, sniffing chances to finish. Don't be asking man to be linking up play and doing all of these things, because he can't do it. He can't do it to the level that you want him to do it. He's not a Jesus, yeah? Jesus can actually get involved in the game and play, right? Gyokeres, he's just not that. So if you expected him to be that, clearly you didn't do your research, because he's not that, bro. He's a heavy guy, yeah? He's a heavy guy, but he's got a banger on him, and he will score.
Done. Every time I'm doing a watch along, this is what happens to my screen when Gyokeres runs. This is what happens. My screen just starts going like this.
You know what I mean?
I feel an earthquake, bro. The guy runs in Tim's doof, 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 doof. Bro, as you said, bro, just give him creators, bro. What is so difficult to understand? Look at him playing with Martinelli last game. Oh my goodness, bro. Oh my goodness. I'll be honest, bro. Forget Gyokeres. If I had to play with Martinelli, I'd hate football. No, bro. You can't tell me there's one footballer out there that enjoys playing football with Martinelli. The guy's absolutely useless, bro. Just runs into dark alleys. He doesn't know what he's doing. Listen, bro, I have Gyokeres as my flop of the season. Terry, when KJ sent out the whole list for our predictions, I have him in my flop of the season, and I've been very consistent with it. I have an opinion for it. I do think he'll do decent for Arsenal. I just don't think he'll be under this manager. I don't think he's gonna cater for him. He did add Eze, and I said that was the right signing at least. The tactics, I just don't think they have a fluid enough attack where it's going to enable this guy to do what he's best at. We've seen his trademark goal against Leeds, cut from the left, turn to the right, and hit it bottom corner. I don't think he's going to do a lot of that. I think he's struggling against United. He's struggling against Liverpool. And I think he'll struggle a lot in a lot of games this season when he's not given all that space to run into. I think the whole system is just, it's been my opinion for a while. I don't think it gets the best out of attackers. Me and Egal spoke about this a lot. He did say, but a couple seasons ago, we scored this amount of goals. Listen, based on this season, last season, the one before, I just think like it just became a lot more reliant on set pieces, on corners. There's a lack of creativity in the final third. There's a lack of idea. Their central progression hasn't been there. There's been major question marks about their creators. I'm seeing their manager go in with 3 DMs and have 3 10s on the bench. I don't think he'll have a great season. I think he comes in with big expectations. People think everyone is demanding him to score 20 plus. I just don't see a scenario where he does. I think he'll score goals. I think he'll score double-digit goals. I don't think he scores 20. Is it on him or is it on the manager? That's up to people to debate. I think to me, he's an obvious flop of the season. I think Ekitike is better than him. I think Joao Pedro is better than him. He's more of a conversation, in my opinion, with Sesko than anyone else. Clip it. I have no problem. I said that multiple times. People think like when you clip it, like, what are you going to do? Are you going to go show it to my mother? Like, my mother's going to slap me? Like, oh, why'd you say that about Gyokeres? Bro, I don't give a fuck, bro. Clip.
Yeah, that's the thing, bro. That's the thing, though, Staffy. Like, when people still go on about that first year when they had...
Or they think I'm going to court with that clip. Go ahead and clip me, bro. It's fine. It's a football opinion. I keep saying, you know what's crazy, bro? I keep saying, for me to have a football opinion on YouTube, I have to risk offending someone. Who is that someone? I don't care. If I don't give an opinion... Then you go. No one's going to say nothing.
That's the thing, though. Listen, they don't like uncomfortable conversations. They don't like it. They don't like it, Staffy. That's why they keep reminiscing about the good times when they were playing that fluid football and it was free flowing and was talking about how great they look with Jesus and Xhaka and all of these guys. Times have changed. I think we've seen it enough of Arteta now to know that he's quite pragmatic, right? He's a pragmatic manager. He didn't learn from Pep. He learned from Moyes, bro. That's who he learned from. Yeah, he learned from David, bro. Yeah. And the only way he's going to change my take on that is if he starts to use Eze in more central positions. You know, he starts to release the shackles off some of these guys a little bit more. I like what he's done a bit with Rice, where he's actually said, yo, allow the 8 thing. You are now gonna play in the pivot. That's your best position. Yeah. Oh, look who it is.
I'm telling you, listen, man.
At the end of the day, hold on.
Before you even come in, Egal. Before you even come in, Egal. I don't think he can hear you on this one.
I'm looking at Arteta first before anyone this season, bro. Because I've criticized your style of play for a minute. Yeah, and your style of play, I'm sorry, bro. I've said many times, for me to prepare myself to watch Arsenal games, bro, I have to prepare myself mentally to watch that shit.
But you know something? Football games are supposed to be entertaining, but at this moment in time, Arsenal are still getting early in the season. We're trying to figure ourselves out. It's not a situation where you're going to see the best of us right away. It's a slow burn with this team.
How long do you think it will take then? How long do you think it will take?
I think you also have to look at the level of opponent that we faced. It's always going to be ugly versus Manchester United away. It's always going to be ugly versus Liverpool away. Like the 3 games that we played to start the season, I feel like if you're judging us off those 3 games, it's not a good enough sample size.
No, we judged last season as well, Gal. We didn't just start this now. Don't do that, because that's what every Arsenal fan is doing. They love to think, bro, we only spoke about 3 games.
No, but I feel like you guys are speaking about 3 games, because when we're speaking about Gyokeres, you've only seen Liverpool, Manchester United.
I said it before he played
it, and immediately, because the level of opponent which Leeds is, you cancel that and you don't even look at that. So you're basically looking at the 2 away performances, which are 2 tough grounds to play away from. So I think every striker that comes into the league would struggle away at Anfield, struggle away at Old Trafford. Let's be honest, Ekitike, who's been killing it to start the season, struggled against Arsenal at Anfield. It wasn't easy for him. So we need to calm down a little bit and not jump to conclusions after 3 games. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't like that if we did the same thing with Sesko, or you didn't like that when we did that with
I don't think anyone. Yeah, but Egal, you're missing.
I feel like that's what people are doing, though.
Yeah,
maybe not you guys.
Yeah, not me. I haven't written them off.
It comes off like that when we start having these conversations after 3 games.
No, but people that are saying Gyokeres is shit and that, bro. I don't agree with these guys, right? Because I know what Gyokeres is. He's just a pure goal scorer. That's what he is. Yeah, it's like Haaland, bro. Like, these guys are not these technical footballers.
No, Haaland is more technical. Respect Haaland.
Haaland,
I think you guys are underestimating what Gyokeres can do.
What I'm saying, Staffy, is you can't put Haaland in the same category as Ekitike and Pedro. He's not.
No. I agree. But Haaland, as much as we say he's not an all-round footballer, he actually has more tech and he could pass the ball better than Gyokeres. I see at least every game. I
disagree. You haven't
every game from Haaland. I see him put one of his attackers one-on-one on goal every game now since the Club World Cup. And that's someone who, by the way, I used to criticize Haaland all the time. Ask Terry, what I used to say about him. He's limited all-rounded. But I'm sitting here and praising that he actually stringing some passes in the final third from someone who said he didn't do that. That shows me that I'm seeing shit I didn't see before.
Over last season, across all the leagues, all the top leagues in Europe, Gyokeres was the 2nd most assists from a striker. So
and he also had he had like less than 5% passes into the final third. You do know that. Sorry, into the box, not the final third, into the box.
He's pretty good at that. You haven't seen enough of that at Arsenal. I do think we're jumping to conclusions based off of a small.
So when I point out your manager and your style, what's the issue here?
I don't think we are talking about the manager. We're talking about the player.
We are talking about your manager.
It has to be one of the 2, Egal. If I don't think, I'll tell you this, Egal. If I don't think a player is going to work at a club, it's one of 2 things. He's either not good enough or the team is just not going to help him. I have to pick one of the 2. I think it's going to be more of the team than him. You can say it's 3 games all you want. Terry, please. I've been here for how long on Straight Facts? Can you tell me, Terry, a year ago, when we talk about Sesko and talk about Gyokeres, to United and Arsenal, what did I say? My opinion, which player should have went where? Can you please remind us?
The other way around, he thinks that Šeško would kill it at Arsenal and that Gyokeres would be better off going to Man United. He feels
so that was before the season even kicked off. I explained it stylistically. Everyone who keeps saying, but you said you want Gyokeres at United. United are a transition-based team. Gyokeres playing on the transition, it suits him more. If he comes to United, look at the Burnley game. Wallah, if we had Gyokeres, he probably puts a hat-trick that game because they gave us so much space to run into. We just didn't have any clinical players playing up front that day. We didn't even have a 9. When I look at the style of play, Egal, you're way ahead of us in your stage as a club. You guys play way more position-based. You're way more dominant. You don't get afforded that space that United get. When I look at United, I said, you know what? I look at United as a team that's still not ready to hold the ball, a team that doesn't even have a midfield that's going to dominate a lot of possession, but we're going to be a good transition team. who should I get in my team? Do I get a Sesko or do I get a Gyokeres? I thought Gyokeres fits us more. I looked at you, Sesko, someone who just wants to sit in the box, 6'5", physical as fuck, agile, and the kid likes to shoot. He doesn't score a lot of goals, but at least he shoots. When you do shoot, eventually you're going to get goals. I thought that fits Arsenal more. When people listen, I don't mind people not agreeing with me. I have no problem. It's the narrative that I watched 3 games and I came up with this opinion. I've been saying it for a year or less, obviously, but I've been saying it for months and months and months. Why would I change my opinion now that I'm actually watching the games and the games are suggesting that as well? By the way, Terry actually, me saying that about Sesko, I said Sesko most likely is going to flop at United. So people can even accuse me of agendas. When I thought my own striker was coming to me, I said, you know what, I like him, but he's most likely to flop. So it can't be agenda.
Staffy, I don't think you're off it when it comes to your point about the manager or the player, one of them. But we also have to realize that he's played 3 games. He's had 3 chances. He scored 2 goals. I'm not necessarily too concerned at this moment in time about the style of play because, one, we've just brought in
man added that penalty as a chance. I did that penalty as a chance. You are.
Bro, you stole that penalty from Dalman, bro. Listen, bro, stealing penalties from a 15-year-old.
I'm saying he's had 3 shots, excluding the penalty. And he's had 2 goals in 3 games. Forget about the stats. It's a small sample size.
He's like a mess. It's all right. It's all right, bro. It's all right to just say,
bro. Because I honestly, I have to go. This kid's crying. I'm just gonna say this. When it comes to everything, around Gyokeres and all these other players, the only thing that I'm looking at Gyokeres about is to finish off the chances that he does get. We as a team create a lot of chances throughout the season. You're gonna see there's going to be games where we create 7 or 8 chances. He's going to have opportunities to get hat tricks. It's just we did not have finishers in this team. We've had a lot of players who are silky, good at holding on to possession, good at playing in wide channels, good at playing all over the pitch like Jesus and Havertz, but we never had finishers. Now that we have a finisher, we're getting criticized because he can't do the job that Havertz and Jesus were able to do. In my opinion, I think you guys have it all wrong. We have different profiles for different opportunities, for different needs. And in the case that it's not a Gyokeres game like Anfield away, we should maybe have Havertz or Jesus come in those kind of games.
Let me ask you a question, Egal. Is your central progression this season going to improve drastically?
100%, because we're going to have Eze and Odegaard playing more central, and we're going to have our width coming from our fullbacks.
Who comes at that midfield then? Because Rice is there, Zubi's there.
Eze is playing from the wide channel, but he's going to play in that wide half space, similar to like how you have like a Hazard or how you have other players from wide positions in. Sorry?
Calafiori is going to overlap.
You can have Calafiori overlap. You can have Hincapié overlap. It depends.
Okay. Cool. I'll hold you to that, bro. Because like I said,
guys, it's 3 games in. 10 games into the season. 10 games into the season, you guys won't be saying this anymore. Because
by the way, I predict them to score at least 16 goals.
Gyokeres' finishing ability will have him in and around the top goal scorers come the end of the season.
Egal, is me saying he'll score 16 goals a bad shout?
I think he'll score more than that.
Okay, but I'm giving him at least I set a minimum of 16. So even when people say you're just being hateful, 16 goals I think is amazing.
16 is the same level as Havertz. I think he's better than Havertz.
You know, bro, I don't know how much better he is than Havertz. You know, that's...
Okay. I guess that's time for me to soon time out.
I'm just saying, man.
Now it's time for me to shoot, man. I ain't a bit, man.
I feel like Egal is like the Somali Stone Cold Steve Austin. He just crashes the stream every.
Do you know what's funny? I'm in the process of making an intro for Egal when he comes in, and you can't play the Stone Cold music. But I found one that's like it, and it comes into glass. Because he comes in like Stone Cold to these things. There's a few super chats here. First one says, if Arteta systemizes Eze, we should never.
Are we sure systemizes is a word? Hold on, before we move on. Systemizes is a word. I'm creating words now.
What a word, bro. My sister
it sounds like it be true. I just don't know if it is. I want to double check before we move on.
Systemizes. No, hang on.
Is that
systemize is a word. Systemize means what does it say? Another term for system. Okay, there's another word for.
Apologies, the nines.
Another word for systematized, which means arranged according to an organization's system, make something systematic. Right? Yeah.
Hold my hand up.
Yeah.
Apologies. Yeah. English isn't my first language, so I'm sorry.
Listen, no, but I've never heard anyone use it before, so that happens a lot. If you've ever listened to like Russell Brand talk, so I would say every time I've ever listened to him talk, I've had to pause it and go, I need to search that word because he says words and I go, what the fuck does that mean? I love that though. If Arteta systemizes Eze, I will never forgive him. As fans of the game, I'm a Liverpool fan, and even I don't want Eze ruined by not having freedom. And listen, we'll see. Come on, Egal, 5 years and you're still finding yourself. It's been a long gap year, man. It's been a long gap year. Egal heard Arteta and couldn't arrive quicker.
Every season, bro. Every season, I just hear this guy just backing it. I'm backing it.
Stop the cap, Dave. Calling Arteta pragmatic is a disrespect to a manager like Mourinho. Jose is pragmatic, but even Jose never played with 4 centre-backs and 3 CDMs.
To be fair, Jose used to do crazy shit like that.
Before you even answer, bro, is it a common thing? I don't look like David. Don't look like David to you, bro. I'm not David.
Yeah, why do you call you David? I thought it was a misspell.
Oh, Garcia's outed himself here. Garcia, answer for your crimes, bruv. Answer for your crimes.
Racismo, okay.
The original Pompadom here says all these United fans saying Gyokeres is going to be a flop, but prefer him over Sesko in the summer. Fraud.
I just explained it, so it's a good thing that
I said the original Pompadom. You know what's going on?
that's a great name, though. I'll give him that.
Oh my god!
Why Don so low on the screen? Is he standing up?
My camera. I can't you right there.
No, KJ, you're wrong for that, bro.
Bro, I moved the camera in there. I moved the angle of the camera. This guy, what
that's funny. That's funny, man. Waffle FC from Staffy, 100% is what Timo says here. Waffle FC.
I do have a show called American Waffle, so he's not wrong.
I don't like the pragmatic analysis. Look at how Eze and Madueke played. Arteta wants more direct style this season. I will say that, right? That's one thing I would say about players. I don't always think it's managers force it out of them per se, because Noni Madueke was attacking and running at players. Saka, when he's on and he's fit, is running and attacking and taking on players and looking to create. Martinelli just doesn't do it. I don't believe, you know, like
no, he does, but he can't pull it off.
No, yeah, he can't pull it off, maybe. Yeah. I think Eze. I don't think Arteta is going to say to Eze, "Don't attack, sit in that hole," etc.
He tried, didn't it? He tried his best.
Did these men forget the conversation they just had? See, again, but we addressed this. Thinking someone's going to be a flop is different from saying they are 100% won because of 3 games. That conversation hasn't been said yet. I did have a question before the end of the show.
What do I do now?
No, actually, we're going to save it for next week. We'll save it for next week. We'll save it for Staffy next week. You can
wait a week. What the fuck was it? What did I do now?
No,
I had quite a week, bro.
You can dwell. No. You had a very, very big comment you made in the group chat about 10 days ago, and I forgot about it last Friday because I wasn't here. That's why I wasn't here. I was on holiday. So
we got KJ for that show as well, by the way.
Yeah, man. Also, did you notice, Staffy, in the group that the numbers were down because I weren't on?
I honestly didn't check, but I mean, listen, KJ. No, you're wrong, KJ. No, you're wrong.
That's not on KJ. But there was because what it was contextually, Staffy and Hassan were having an argument in the group chat on who straight facts shows better, and I was just basically
going to back our show.
Of course you're going to back it. I just back all of them because you're all. It's like picking which one's your favorite kid. Do you know what I mean? I love all the shows. They're on my.
All your kids, yeah.
Exactly. The shows, not the panelists. Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. Big shout out to each and every single one of you. Are we redirecting anywhere? No. You two got any streams set up? Nah,
not today. Not today, man. Okay. Wish I did for you. Fucking hell, tell. I have to remind myself for next week then.
People get them scared. Who's live right now? I just fucking Talk Sport live. I ain't fucking redirecting to Talk Sport. Fuck you, slags. Who's out there?
Nubbins is live.
No one's live.
Nubbins is live.
Let's see who's live. Let me see who's live.
Nubbins is live. There we go. It hasn't come up on my thing.
Yeah, no one's live.
Nubbins.
I dropped in the private chat.
Sweet, mate. Sweet. I'll send it over to my man. You guys get over there and make sure you're subscribing to his channel and doing all
He
that.
has a hilarious thumbnail. You know that guy who sits at like a college campus or something, and he has a banner that says something changed my mind, and he's drinking tea. So basically, Nobbins on the guy's face, and he says the Donnarumma signing is good. Changed my mind.
Get over there, people, and support Nobbins on his show now. Go let him know that the Terrace is raided. Oh, well, Super Terrace says a more direct style Corners FC Stoke regen. Well, there we go. Thank you for the super chat. Until next time, Terry doesn't even follow Nobbins. No, yes, I do. It didn't come up on the redirect page. Let's see if I do. Let's see if I know I follow his account.
Terry exposed.
He's one of the very few YouTubers. He's one of the very few YouTubers that I actually listen to. Until next time, people. Oh, sorry, neglecting your kid to defend. What? Oh, neglecting your kid to defend a player is a wild level of dedication. Oh, that Egal. Yeah, his kids are crying. What was that noise you just? What was it you played?
Oh, I played this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
That was you not subscribing to know.
Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless, and we're going to see you all again very, very soon. Peace.